Eddie won't return my call, so maybe one day we'll have a conversation.
What is that black dick connected to? That black man? So no, I was not blackballed. I was whiteballed. By some black who had no balls. Thank you, Mr. Lee Daniels. Thank you, Miss Oprah Winfrey. No, baby, I wasn't blackballed. I was some no balls. And see, I know they like to say, Monique, you talk too much. It would kill me not to say the real. It would kill me not to say the real. I'm not paying me equally. I treat me fairly. So y'all can suck if I had one. Remember when I said earlier, I've never seen so many cowards and black men in this business? I would have to put my brother Tyler Perry in that. And I'm gonna tell you why I say that. See, when I see you do a clip and you go to T.D. Jakes' church, and I watch you write a check for $1 million in front of the congregation, and you give it to this man, was that for the congregation to give more money? Or was that really genuine? See, when no one's watching, who are you? To when everyone's watching. And we got a chance to sing when no one was watching. See, your listeners will hear that audio. But Oprah, I'm not going anywhere until y'all take accountability and fix it.
Eddie Murphy has never been the type to sit back and stay silent when he sees what is really happening in Hollywood. Now he is pulling the curtain back on one of the most explosive truths in the industry. According to Eddie, there is a very clear reason why two of the biggest names in entertainment, Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry, stay uneasy whenever Monique's name comes up, and it has nothing to do with her simply being outspoken or unafraid to challenge the so-called gatekeepers. Eddie's point is sharper than that. Monique is not bluffing. She is holding on to receipts, conversations, and proof that could shake the foundations of everything these two power players have built. That, Eddie suggests, is exactly why they are scared. Hollywood has always been a machine where certain voices are lifted up and others are quietly pushed out. Monique refused to play along. When she called out Oprah and Tyler, the industry rushed to paint her as angry, bitter, and impossible to work with. But Eddie sees the pattern differently. In his eyes, if Monique truly had no substance behind her claims, she would have been easy to dismiss. Instead, these powerful figures keep maneuvering around her as if her very presence is a threat. Eddie makes it clear why. Monique has something that matters. She has receipts that could expose hypocrisy, manipulation, and behind-the-scenes conversations that the public was never supposed to hear. Eddie points out that Tyler Perry in particular has far more to lose than most people realize. His entire empire has been carefully built on branding, philanthropy, and the image of a black mogul who rose against the odds. Yet Monique's files could expose cracks in that empire, deals that were not as clean as they looked, backroom power plays that could ruin reputations, and Oprah is not safe either. Eddie hints that she knows exactly what part she played in silencing Monique and that her legacy could also take a serious hit if the truth comes out.
Oprah, I'm not going anywhere until y'all take accountability and fix it. Y'all messed with my livelihood, which messes with my family. Never would I do that to anyone. So until they fix it, I won't back down.
The bottom line, according to Eddie Murphy, is crystal clear. No one fears a person who has nothing. The fact that Oprah and Tyler are so quick to sidestep Monique or label her as difficult tells you everything you need to know. They are not running from her attitude. They are running from her evidence. And in an industry where perception is everything, Eddie is sounding the alarm. Monique is the one person they cannot afford to underestimate. Let's get into it. On one hand, you've got Monique. She bursts onto the scene with an Oscar for Precious, delivering one of the most raw, unforgettable performances of the decade. But when she refused to fly across the globe to promote the flick, for free no less, because her deal didn't call for it, that single no branded her difficult overnight.
Tyler Perry and I had a conversation at the Hoodie Awards. At the time it was called the Hoodie Awards, when they were trying to get me to go do all of this press internationally.
And for those that don't know, who put on that Hoodie Awards?
Steve Harvey put on the Hoodie Awards in Vegas, right? So it just makes me smile the way this whole scene went down. So I'm beckoned to go into Tyler Perry's dressing room, right? I'm beckoned. So I go into Tyler Perry's dressing room, and there are about maybe 25 people on Tyler Perry's team. And he does this.
Like that. Okay.
And everyone leaves. Well, I have my security with me. And I looked at my security like, you don't work for Tyler Perry. So my security stayed in the room. So Tyler Perry says to me, listen, you may really want to consider promoting this film. Because if you get nominated for an Oscar award, your next film is $3 to $5 million. And if you win it, your next film is $6 to $8 million. I said, Tyler, who you talking to? I'm a black woman. Where do they pay those type of salaries, brother? I said, what I cannot do, Tyler, is work for free. I've done what I was supposed to do. I cannot go overseas and do this for free, Tyler. So then he goes on about his spiel, you know. I said, well, listen, you can write me the check for me to go overseas. I don't care where the money comes from, but I'm not gonna do it for free. He says, well, I don't believe in giving money away for free. I said, I don't believe in working for free, so we're on the same page.
That's when things went sideways. Monique says Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey, producers of Precious, were instrumental in pulling the plug on her career's momentum. She alleges that they blackballed her, the roles dried up, and suddenly she was persona non grata in the industry. The story goes deeper. Monique has voiced how she recorded a phone call with Tyler Perry admitting that it was wrong to label her difficult when she simply stuck to her contract, and that lie cost her 12 years of opportunities and millions in potential earnings. She's not asking for a simple whisper or a quick handshake behind the scenes. She wants their apology to be loud and public, commensurate with the damage she says they inflicted, not just on her career, but on her family too. And Oprah? Monique says that betrayal cut deeper. Her estranged family members, including her brother, who admitted to molesting her as a child, were invited on Oprah's show, apparently without her knowledge or consent. That public humiliation left wounds that are still fresh. And while Lee Daniels has since publicly reconciled with her, she's still waiting for Oprah and Perry to step up and up the script to Taraji P. Henson. Here's a force of nature who's been delivering powerhouse performances for years. Hustle and flow, empire, awards, and critical acclaim, you name it. Yet she has had to fight for every dollar she's earned. She has been transparent about how, in Hollywood, black women often have to prove their talent and value over and over again. She even said that, it's about money. Are you bankable? I had to continuously prove that. Then Tyler Perry entered the picture in a way that changed the game. She reveals that she had been asking for $500,000 for years, and it wasn't until she worked with Tyler Perry that she actually got it. He became the first studio head to write her that check, breaking the ceiling for what she could command as pay. For her, that was not just about respect, it was validation. That shift in compensation did more than pad her bank account. It repositioned her in the industry. After earning her worth on Perry's terms, she never had to settle for sofa change money again, or take on big roles for less than she deserved. Putting these two stories side by side, the contrast is stunning. In Monique's case, Tyler Perry and Oprah are painted as architects of her sidelining for sticking to her contract. In Taraji's case, Perry is the one who helped elevate her value by paying her what she demanded, even when the rest of Hollywood refused. It's a stark illustration of how power and profit dynamics can shift based on the person, the moment, the pushback, and the willingness to put money where your mouth is or not. When you connect the dots, it starts to look like exploitation, cunning branding, and perhaps strategic empathy. Monique dared to set boundaries and paid a price. Taraji commanded her worth and, in that instance, got a return. Tyler Perry's interaction with these two veteran black women of the industry sheds light on who's rewarded, who's punished, and how a single yes or no can radically shift one's trajectory. According to Monique herself, Tyler Perry personally admitted that he started the rumor about her being hard to work with. Not only that, but she says she caught him in his own words, on audio, admitting it. Let that sink in for a second. She says she legally recorded Perry confessing because she knew if she didn't have the receipts, it would always come down to her word versus his. And in an industry that bows to power, his voice would win every time. That's how deep this thing runs.
And then fast forward. Things, everything kind of comes out with Lee, Oprah, and there's an audio conversation that you guys had with Tyler.
I got a call on my cell, and her and I would just so happen to be standing together. And that's when he called me and looking for Monique to say, hey, I'd like to speak with y'all because I heard your podcast, I could hear the hurt, and you heard the audio.
For the viewers listening, we're gonna play the audio now.
Community is involved, and they want to see how it's going to play out. Because the community is saying, wait a minute, hold up. We don't know this sister to be no bull. We know she a loudmouth. We know she'll say some to the wall. But what we know about it is she true to her word.
And all I would ask you is two questions. The first question is, did you not just say it was wrong?
Tyler.
Did you not just say it was wrong, Tyler? To say she was difficult for not doing something that she was not contractually obligated to do? Did you not say that you would feel that that was wrong? Or am I missing something?
I absolutely. Yeah.
So the question I would say is
there a number? You know, just taking that back to them was just a huge problem, okay? And I'm listening to David Calvert in a minute because I just watched your podcast and it really broke my heart because number one, I feel you. I feel the sadness that's from you in all of this. And I don't want you to feel that. I mean, especially for me, I can't speak for anybody else. But for me, I'm not anyone that wants to hurt or offend anybody, especially you. I think you are brilliantly talented. I think you should have a lot more happening since you led a war. I thought for sure that if you had campaigned and won it and played by their rules, what would happen is in the next deal, you would have got more money, billions of dollars, and your career in the film would have been much different. I believe that much in your talent. So it's saying all of that. I just say it's just heartbreaking because I don't ever want you to think that I'm not trying to blackball or say anything. Please give me what I say. I'm not trying to hurt you. I would never try to hurt you.
Monique told Shannon that Perry's actions cost her family tens of millions of dollars over more than a decade. She wasn't exaggerating. Before the fallout, she was earning between $2 and $3 million a year. After Perry painted her as difficult, she says, offers dried up, opportunities disappeared, and even when she was considered for roles, like Cookie on Empire, the word came back that she had been labeled a problem. That one rumor, that one lie, followed her everywhere. Imagine being told your career is stalled not because you lack talent or discipline, but because a man with influence and power decided to spread something untrue and then sat back while it poisoned your name. And when she tried to hold him accountable, Perry allegedly shifted the narrative, saying he would only meet with her if her husband, who is also her manager, was not in the room. That alone speaks volumes. Why not allow the one person who has guided and protected her career from exploitation to sit at the table? Why isolate her unless the goal is to keep control and avoid being called out directly? Monique said it herself. Hollywood has a problem with her husband because he is blunt, direct, and refuses to bow his head. That is exactly the type of ally Perry does not want in the room when he is confronted. The kicker is this: Perry admitted on tape that he spread a lie. Monique has shared that others, including Al Sharpton, Kevin Hart, and Stephanie Mills, reached out on him, and again, conversations faded, promises evaporated, and in some cases, relationships were outright sabotaged. Even Kevin Hart, who initially offered her support and partnership, allegedly pulled away after his management intervened. Monique sees a clear pattern here. When powerful voices are challenged, the people who try to stand with you often get silenced or pressured to step back, and she's not getting silenced.
What is that black to that black man? So no, I was not blackballed. I was whiteballed by some black who had no balls. Thank you, Mr. Lee Daniels. Thank you, Mr. Tyler Perry. Thank you, Miss Oprah Winfrey. No, baby, I wasn't blackballed. I was some no balls. And see, I know they like to say, Monique, you talk too much. It would kill me not to say the real. It would kill me not to say the real. You are not paying me equally. You are not treating me fairly. So y'all can suck my ass.
What Monique emphasized in that interview is chilling. She compared Perry's actions to being beaten in plain sight and then asked why she recorded him instead of focusing on the fact that he admitted to the abuse. It's a classic tactic, shifting the blame to the victim instead of the perpetrator. She told Shannon point blank that what Perry did was no different than taking millions from her family, stripping away years of career momentum, and leaving her to fight for her reputation. She is not bitter, she said, but determined. Determined to make Perry acknowledge publicly what he admitted privately. Determined to reclaim what was lost, and determined to stop the cycle so that the next black woman who says no, who sets a boundary, does not end up sitting in the same chair telling the same story 10 years from now. This wasn't just a Hollywood feud. Monique made it clear this was exploitation, this was erasure, and this was a deliberate attempt to control a woman who dared to demand respect and fair compensation. She is still asking Perry one question: how are you going to make it right? Eddie Murphy is not mincing words when it comes to Monique and the situation with Tyler Perry. In his eyes, people are underestimating just how much power Monique really has. That audio of Perry admitting he lied might be the headline, but Eddie believes that is only the tip of the iceberg. He has been around Hollywood long enough to know that when someone like Monique says she has receipts, it rarely means just one recording. Eddie thinks Monique has been smart, calculated, and careful for years, and that she has a vault full of proof she could unload if she ever decides the time is right. From Eddie's perspective, Perry has been pressing his luck for far too long. He knows that Monique is not the type to just run her mouth with nothing to back it up. If she is pushed into a corner, Eddie believes she could start leaking things that would not only embarrass Perry, but potentially dismantle the carefully polished image he has built. And once those truths start spilling out, there will be no PR machine strong enough to put them back in the box. Eddie has seen what happens when a comedian with nothing left to lose decides to air everything. He has watched careers collapse under the weight of receipts that came out years after the original offense. That is why he thinks Perry is nervous. It is one thing to deny rumors. It is another thing entirely to deal with actual recordings, texts, emails, and evidence that you cannot explain away. And Eddie is convinced Monique has all of that and more. He even suggests that Oprah knows this as well, which is why she moves so carefully when Monique's name comes up. Eddie is blunt about it. If Perry keeps trying to paint Monique as bitter or crazy, if he keeps pressing her buttons, she might finally let the rest of the world hear what she has been holding on to. And when that day comes, it will not just be gossip blogs running with the story. It will be mainstream headlines questioning how long this empire can stand once the truth is out. Eddie's bottom line is simple. Monique has the kind of proof that can change everything. Tyler Perry knows it. Oprah knows it. And if they are smart, they will stop underestimating her before she decides to let the receipts fly. The reason why everyone's scared now is because Monique isn't backing down. For that interview, she did not hold back about Tyler Perry. She laid it out plain. According to her, Perry told a lie on her that ended up costing her 12 years of her career and millions of dollars that should have gone to her family. 12 years. She said he even admitted on tape that what he did to her was wrong, and he promised to fix it back when his movie Boo came out in 2016. But here we are, almost a decade later, and he has yet to make it right. For Monique, that is not something you sweep under the rug. That is not something you pray goes away. She sees it as a deliberate move from a man who carries himself with what she calls a God complex. Someone who thinks he can do whatever he wants without accountability. Monique made it clear that good deeds cannot erase the damage. Sure, Perry might tip a waiter $3,000 or buy someone a house, but that does not undo what he did to her. It does not erase the years she lost or the opportunities she was robbed of. She says that until Perry fixes it publicly, the way he publicly shamed her, she will not stop calling him out. And when she says fix it, she means two things: a public apology and restitution. She is unapologetic about demanding both because in her eyes, that is what justice looks like. She is not asking for charity. She is asking for the truth to be acknowledged and for the harm to be repaired. She also said something deeper. When a man in Perry's position is allowed to get away with damaging a black woman's livelihood, it is not just about her. It sets a precedent. It sends a message that powerful people can do whatever they want to black women in Hollywood and never have to answer for it. And that is why she refuses to back down. She said flat out that if Perry does not make it right in life, then he will have to deal with it in death because the universe is always watching. That was her warning to him, and she delivered it with the calm but firm voice of someone who has been through too much to ever be silenced again. Now, Eddie Murphy and Tyler Perry were once on pretty good terms. They respected each other, spoke highly of one another, and Perry even admitted that Eddie was a huge influence on him. At one point, it really looked like Perry wanted nothing more than to finally collaborate with Murphy. He has said it multiple times in interviews, hinting that a partnership between them could be a dream project. The only problem is that Murphy has never given him the green light. Perry claims that every time he reaches out, Murphy just does not respond. In other words, Eddie has been keeping his distance and refusing to take things any further. That in itself already creates tension. You have one of the most powerful filmmakers in Black Hollywood trying to align with a comedy legend, and instead of getting a yes, he is getting silence. Perry has been vocal about it too, saying he feels like Murphy is shutting him out. But here's the twist. Perry never tells people the real reason. He makes it sound like Eddie is just being difficult or too busy, but Murphy's silence speaks volumes. According to people close to him, Eddie has seen sides of Perry that made him decide he does not want to be tied up in his world. Murphy is not one to throw shade for no reason. He is deliberate, and when he distances himself, there is usually a deeper meaning. In this case, Eddie feels like Perry talks a big game about uplifting black artists, but does not actually back it up in the way he should. Yes, Perry has the giant studio. Yes, he gives interviews about opportunity and legacy, but Eddie believes that is all surface level. Behind the scenes, he sees a man who benefits from the struggles of black talent rather than truly empowering them. Now let us get one thing straight. Monique and Taraji are not the only ones who have called out Tyler Perry. Plenty of other artists in Hollywood have voiced their concerns. Some loud, some subtle, but the message is the same. Perry might be powerful, but that does not mean everyone is buying what he is selling. One of the most outspoken critics has been Spike Lee. Spike Spike is known for being blunt and never holding his tongue, and when it comes to Perry's body of work, he has not minced his words. He has openly called Perry's films coonery and buffoonery, saying they do nothing to elevate black culture, but instead feed stereotypes that white Hollywood has been using for decades. For Spike, Perry's movies are not just silly, they are harmful. He feels they reduce the complexity of black life to cheap jokes and over-the-top characters. Now, that critique hit hard, and Perry of course clapped back, defending himself by pointing out the success of his movies and the loyal audiences who come out to see them. But Spike was not alone in his criticism.
Hearing all this noise, man, it was crazy because there were no black people on television. Before diversity became a thing, Tyler Perry was the only one out there for a long time.
Many actors and writers in the black community have quietly echoed the same concerns, even if they have not been as bold about it in public. They see Perry's empire as one built on outdated tropes rather than fresh, authentic storytelling. For some, his Medea character might be entertaining, but to others, it feels like an exaggerated stereotype that does not do justice to the richness of black identity. Even within Hollywood, there are whispers about how Perry keeps too much control, refusing to bring in other voices or give real creative freedom to up-and-coming black writers and directors. He has been accused of running his studio like a one-man show, where his voice is the only one that matters. That might sound impressive, but it also means there is very little room for growth or diversity of perspective. And this is exactly what frustrates so many other artists. They see the resources Perry has, the platform he has built, and they wonder why he is not using it to amplify other voices instead of only his own. So when Spike Lee steps up and calls Perry's movies stupid and damaging, he is voicing what a lot of others are thinking. The difference is that Spike has the courage and the reputation to say it out loud, and the fact that these criticisms keep coming from respected figures shows that Monique is not some outlier. There is a growing list of people in the industry who believe Perry is doing more harm than good, and Eddie Murphy, being a keen observer of Hollywood politics, definitely notices this pattern. He sees that Perry is not just facing one disgruntled actress or one rival director. He is facing an entire chorus of voices who are starting to question what his real legacy will be. So, what do you think? Comment down below and let us know. If you liked this video, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be the first to see my next video. I post updates like this every week where I uncover the secrets of your favorite celebrities.